So starting a candle business is tough. It's a lot of work. It takes more than the majority of us realize when we start down this entrepreneurial journey. It is going to challenge you a lot. You are going to face obstacles that you had no idea you're going to end up facing at some point on this journey if you stick around long enough to be successful. The majority of candle makers end up quitting just before they get to reaching success because they don't realize that success can be just right around the corner. Today, I want to talk about 10 steps or 10 things rather that we learned on our journey, and we're still learning all of the time. Sure, we've crossed over $1 million in candle sales in the past 3.5 years, and we've accomplished a lot of things that we're really, really proud of. But if we would be able to start all over again, these are going to be things that I want to have in mind as I'm going on this journey. Even if these aren't things that you may be doing right now, if you're thinking ahead, hopefully these will be some tips that you will appreciate and be able to at least hold with you and just, store them away somewhere for when you do happen to face this on your journey. So let's get into 10 things that I want to share with you. In fact, I'll actually have a bonus one here. So I think I've got a total of 11 here to discuss today. So let's get into it. All right. So the first thing that I wish that we knew when we first started our candle business is you don't need 10, 12 or more cents when you start your candle business. You do not need such a robust initial collection because quite frankly, we're still trying to figure out if that niche that we have in mind and that target customer that we think we are going to have even wants our product. So we don't need to start with too many products. So we started our candle business with 10 candles, 10 different scents, a wide variety. They all seem to fit together in the puzzle. We covered a lot of bases of different scent categories, but we had 10 and it was a lot because then you're going to also not only have 10 different scents, but you have to make them in all the different sizes that you're going to carry. So we started our candle business. We have a 5-ounce tin, which is in an 8-ounce tin, but it's a 5-ounce pour. Then we have a 10-ounce glass. And then we also had a 12-ounce ceramic. And then we have our wax melts. Now, if we started all over again, we would get rid of that ceramic. Not only did we do a ceramic, but we also did it in 3 different colors. So it was the Nordic ceramic vessel from Candle Science that would go in and out of stock anyways. And we'll talk about that a little bit later today. I have a feeling. But so we had to make a lot of candles. We started with 10 different scents, and then we had all the different sizes. We had wax melts. And then in those ceramics, we also had them in different colors. So we went really wide with casting a net and trying to hit on a ton of different scents. If we were to start all over again, we would do 6. 6 scents is what we would start our candle business with. And so this is the breakdown. I'm going to share a little insider with you. This is a breakdown of scents we would start with. 2 citrus. Citrus is our number one sellers, and we sell a lot of different types of scent categories. Citrus is always the number one year round. So we would start with 2 of those 6 scents would be citrus. We would also start with 1 masculine. So like a woodsy masculine, think mahogany type of candle, something that's going to instantly make someone think of a guy in their life or themselves. If they're shopping for themselves and they want that woodsy masculine type of scent, you got to have one of those in your collection. We would if we started all over again. We would also have like a spa-like, like a sandalwood, something fresh, something calming that a lot of people will enjoy. It wouldn't be what I call an offensive scent, something that someone's going to smell and say, oh, I don't like that. Something calming, soothing, so a spa-like type of scent. I would also have a floral. Now, I wouldn't do like a lilac heavy, that type of floral. I'm talking a floral that the majority of people will like. We have a lavender breeze blend that we do. We would do that again. We have done a lilac candle. It was horrible. It was one of our first 10. And it took us almost 3 years to sell the last of those that we had already pre-produced before we started and opened up our business online. It took us almost 3 years to get rid of that lilac candle. But a lavender candle, we sell that every day. So I would definitely go with that type of having a floral, but being a floral that's something that people will enjoy. That's common. Oftentimes, I think we try to get too unique, too special with what we're coming up with, that we forget that we have to be able to relate this product to our customer. And so sometimes some of these blends that people are doing, and we're doing blends as well, but it's not necessarily going to resonate to someone shopping online. They may not know what it's going to smell like. So I would focus more on what is my niche, what is my target audience, and then give them a candle that they're going to have a pretty good idea of what it's going to smell like when they receive it. So that's why I would go with like a lavender type of candle. And then lastly, I would have one of those staple candles that people just enjoy, whether that's going to be like a blend of a vanilla. We have a few different types of vanilla candles that we sell. We have like a toasted vanilla for fall. We also, in our duo collection, we mix a velvet vanilla and a smoked vanilla. We have a ratio for that we came up with that we really love. That's a year round. People smell it. They really like it. So another staple type of candle for us, it would be our peace of mind candle. So that is that candle that is that blend of a eucalyptus and mint and verbenum. It's that candle that you smell it and you remember smelling that before, or very similar to that. It's similar to like the green candle that like Bath and Body Works has had since probably the 80s. That scent has been in a lot of different bath products. You can get body wash, you can get bars of soap, you can get lotion. That mint verbenum eucalyptus blend, it's something that has been around for 20 some years. So why not have that in our collection to be able to sell? Now we blend all of our candles. We're not selling the candles just out of the bottles, but that doesn't mean that you have to. But that is a scent that you would have to blend those items together, because sure, you can get a fresh mint, you can get a eucalyptus, you can get a verbenum, but each of those individually wouldn't be the scent I'm talking about. I'm talking about that blend that is going to be really familiar for a lot of people. So that's tip number one: is don't start with 10 cents. You don't need that many. Start with just 6. See how it resonates with the customers. Also, make sure that you can even find customers, because if you can't find customers, then going wider isn't going to do that for you. I think that's a misconception of, if I have more cents, I can have more sales. Long term, sure, we want to offer our super fans and our core customers more options, but you have to find those people first. So that's where you need to work on what your niche is and what your target audience is. Then sell them candles. Once you know you have something going, then keep adding to it. That was number one. Let's now talk about number two. So number two, wholesale is not as hard as it seems. Now, a lot of people do reach out because we do a substantial amount of wholesale. We've been in the business now for 3 years and 3.5 years going on now. And we've got about 140, 145 wholesale accounts. We have some big wholesale accounts. We're in the international airports. We have an account with a large sports apparel company that sells our candles in 45 stores across the Midwest and South in some of their locations. And the way it's going, we should be expanding even further. We certainly hope so. They actually have about 300 stores across the country. And my goal is to get in all of them. So we're doing a test now, a 6-month test in those 45 stores. That seems to be going all right. So how do you simplify wholesale? Now, all the wholesale we do, we actually teach this in my wholesale course, because it's a really straightforward process, but it's all about you going out and getting these wholesale accounts. I know a lot of people will say get on Fair, which Fair is great. We're on Fair. We get orders on Fair, but less than 10% of our wholesale orders come from Fair. Fair is just like any other marketplace that's going to get saturated. There's going to be a lot of competition out there, and you're just waiting around hoping for someone to find you. And that's not the way I like to operate my business. I want to go out and put my product in front of people and show them why my candles are better than someone else's for their customer and why their customer will want my product. So I do outreach of all the majority of wholesale accounts that we get is from my outreach. And that's what we teach in our candle making course. But or excuse me, in our candle wholesale course. We have a candle making course that shows you exactly how we make our container candles, but I'm referring to our wholesale course. So let me give you some of the high level things to do. I don't want to just tell you about my course. I actually want to give you what's in it that can help you today without even getting the course. So one of the things is stay very organized. We have a spreadsheet. We offer this in the course, but you can just make your own spreadsheet. It's not complicated. Make a spreadsheet and list a column for the store that you want to reach out to, their contact information. You would like to ideally have the store manager or owner's email address, and then write down that email address. So their name, their email address. Also, go ahead and put the social media handle, whether it's Instagram or Facebook. Go ahead and put that there so you can reference back and click on it rather easy. Also have a line column for the website itself. Again, because you're going to want to go back and reference this and you don't want to go out searching anywhere else. So create a spreadsheet with all the information about the store, but also make sure that you have something that is relatable and why your product is going to be good for their store. Whether it's because it's a local store and you want to sell to them by being a local candle maker. That's how we got started. We were just reaching out to stores in our town, and then we just kind of went wider from there. And now we do it by different metropolitans all over the country when I'm reaching out kind of one by one to get our candles in their shop. So create a spreadsheet. Then you're going to email them. You're going to email that person. And this email, it needs to be rather short and sweet. Don't fill it with a lot of paragraphs. They do not want to read this information. You need to not sell them on how great your candles are. You need to sell them on why your candles are going to be great for their customer and why their customer is going to love them. I've seen a lot of people that are doing wholesale and are struggling with this concept. I say, let me see the emails that you're sending. And the emails that they're sending out is sort of like the information that we're putting on our website. 100% natural wax, all clean fragrances, no phthalates and paraben, all of those type of features, but not the benefits. So we're selling the features and not the benefits. And quite frankly, the store owner or manager probably doesn't care about any of those things. What they care about is selling product to their customers. What do their customers actually care about? It's great to say that you're eco-friendly and all clean and this and that. However, you show value to your potential customers that you're selling to directly. But when you're reaching out to online retailers, they're not going to care about that. They want to know, why is this candle that you're selling going to be good in their store? Is it the design? Is it the packaging? Is it the price point? All of these different things is what they're going to care about. You don't find a store that when you go looking at what they're selling online is like, oh, okay, they're selling these candles that are $15, $20 and my candles are $60, $70. Okay, there's going to be a misalignment there. So it doesn't matter what you put in that email to them. They're going with the price point like, this doesn't line up with our customers. Our customers don't spend that. And it could go, both ways with it, right? If it is a elevated women's boutique, those are what I love to go after. I'm not putting my gourmand or, the foodie scented candles. That just doesn't fit with the vibe of that store. So I'm not referencing those type of candles, right? When I'm trying to sell to them. Also, depending on which store you're reaching out to, some of them aren't going to have holidays, right? So a women's high-end boutique clothing store, they don't have Christmas sweatshirts or sweaters. They don't have some of those items. They're selling dresses. They're selling formal wear type of items, going out, date nights, cocktail dresses, things like that, where my fall scents and winter scents probably aren't a good fit for that store, because that store is not really transitioning by holiday season. They're transitioning their store by clothing seasons and by what's trending. So I'm going to put my trending candles facing forward to those stores. I'm trying to sell them on what's going to fit in that store. Okay. I'm not trying to sell them on my lemon pound cake and my orange creamsicle candle, right? I want to sell them on what I think is going to work in their store. So keep that in mind. So you have a spreadsheet that you list out all of these stores you want to reach out to, and then you have your emails. Here's the key. The key to getting wholesale accounts is the follow-up. You have to have a system in place where you are following up with all of these stores. The reality is probably 80% of the wholesale accounts that we've received have come on the follow-up or the follow-up after that. Because here's what happens. And I know this on both sides because we have 3 retail stores now. We're staying busy. I'm getting emails all the time from people wanting us to carry their products in our stores, whether it's selling t-shirts, hats, perfumes, greeting cards, stickers, all kinds of things, right? And oftentimes I'll get an email, I'll see it, I'll see a photo of what's in this email to me. Like, oh yeah, that was great. Let me, I'm going to get back to them later because right now I'm making the schedule and I'm processing payroll and I'm running a store and I'm busy. So I'm going to star that for later. And then about 5 minutes later, it will leave my mind and be gone forever. And I'll never go back and check that email again and follow up with them. So when they reach back out to me in a week and remind me, there we go. Now it's clicked. Oh, shoot. Yes, I did like that stuff. Let me pull that up. Let me spend 5 minutes on this real quick, get them a reply and see if I can get an order in. That is how wholesale works. It's just the reality of it. You have to follow up and keep following up. Remember, we're in the business of selling candles. We aren't in a business of feeling embarrassed about following up too much or bugging someone. You know what? When they don't want me to email them anymore, they'll let me know, or they'll just keep deleting those emails. But eventually, they're going to decide to tell me, it's not a good fit, not interested. Check back in spring, check back in fall. Once they give me a response, then that is when I take them off of my list or we move forward with an order. So I'll follow with them several times, and then I will just place them on my list of just quarterly. When I update my wholesale catalog, I will send it to them along with everyone else. So until they tell me no, don't bug me anymore, unsubscribe me, something like that, then they're still on my potential list. And you want to keep track of all of this on a spreadsheet. Then you got to have those emails. Then you also have to have those good email follow-ups. And you actually have to have a really good wholesale catalog. Now for us, we offer our students that come through our wholesale course. I hate saying students. We're all peers. We're all doing this together. We're all learning from each other. But you know what I'm referencing. So when someone signs up, they get all that stuff. They get my email templates. They get my follow-ups. They get the spreadsheet. But they also get 3 different wholesale catalogs because based on the size of your brand in your collection, how many candles do you have? We have formatted it differently. Also, as I was referencing a bit ago, some stores you don't want to try to sell these candles or these room sprays to because this is the only stuff that's really going to work for them. So you're going to want to make a few different versions of your wholesale catalog. Or if you're reaching out to something very specific, we get into a lot of pet boutiques as well. People are buying designer dog food and bandanas and all this stuff in these pet boutiques. And we get a lot of our odor eliminating candles in those shops. And it's because my catalog is made for pet shops. The front cover looks like a magazine for pets, right? And so it's eye-catching. So when people get our wholesale course, they get all of those. But again, you can make all of this yourself. You can do all of this yourself. Just keep that in mind. Have a good system in place for getting the information about the stores that you want to reach out to, and then how to reach out to them, how to follow up with them, and what to actually send them. And then also some different ways for them to order from you. So make sure you have all of that. Let's get into the third thing here. That's going to be candle math is not optional. So you've got to know your margins. You've got to know your pricing. You've got to know your cost per unit very, very early in your candle business and start thinking about the ways that those may not work eventually. Sure, if it's just you and it costs you, let's say, $5 to make this candle. It costs you $5 to make this candle, and you want to go out to a market this weekend and you want to sell it for $10. Sure, totally fine. You want to sell it to friends, family, coworkers, your neighbor, the mailman, whomever, for $10. So you only have a 2X. Totally fine. But if you want to build a website, if you want to start doing wholesale, if you want to run ads, run paid ads on Meta, on Facebook or Instagram. If you want to open a brick and mortar store, if you want to hire an assistant to start helping you, if you want to then hire a bookkeeper to make sure that you're doing your numbers right, if you want to start scaling your business, you cannot sell this $5 candle for $10. You can't do it. It's not going to happen. It's not going to work. You have to have all of those things right. Your pricing, your margins, and your cost per unit. So get all of that figured out. Make sure you know your numbers. A lot of people I have found in this space are very creative, much more creative than I would ever have been. That's kind of why me and Chad are a really good balance, where I understand the ins and outs of the business side. He doesn't struggle with it, but he's much stronger in the creating and the creation of stuff. All of our 10 classic candles that we have, he scent blends all of that stuff that has 3, 4, 5 different oils all blended together. He's the one that genuinely teaches our candle making course in our boot camp that we do. I'm in it a little bit, but he's really showing the ins and outs of how he does it as a professional candle maker. So I find that sometimes these very, very extremely creative people will sometimes struggle with the math side of things or the business outlook side of things, but you have to learn it. You have to learn it just so you understand where you can possibly go with your business and so that you can make adjustments on the front end if need be. Got to know the candle math. That's all we got to do. Or at least have a connection with someone that can look at your numbers and do it for you. We have inside of our inner circle, our membership with other candle businesses, people are always exchanging ideas and saying, hey, does this make sense? Does this not make sense? You don't have to be perfect at everything. We're certainly not. But you want to, rely on people that can help you out a little bit whenever you need. Next tip for you, number 4 here is some suppliers will discontinue the supplies. That makes sense, right? We see new products coming out all the time. That's how they have to operate their business. They want to stay fresh and top of mind to us all as candle makers. But when they bring in new items, something's got to go at some point. Keep that in mind when you are building out your initial brand collections, line of candles, and what is going to be something that will hopefully resonate with your future customers for a long time. So what I have found has happened, it's happened to us a few times. Those first initial 10 cents that I told you that we came out with, and then we created in way too many sizes, those ceramic Nordics that we had purchased, 2 of the colors ended up discontinuing or going out of stock for months. So for us, those didn't sell well. So we ended up cutting those from our brand. But for the ones that did sell well, we ran out and we couldn't provide that to those customers anymore. So I would be cautious of building out your brand in your initial candle collections around something that could possibly go away. So I look at building our candle brand around just a glass candle. It is a glass candle that this vessel we can get from multiple suppliers. So if our supplier was to discontinue or be out of stock, I could probably go find it elsewhere. Also, a line of candles around like these, an amber jar, or just another 9-ounce straight-sided jar or vessel, you're gonna be able to get from multiple places. But if you buy something unique from some of these suppliers, and we buy those candles as well. So don't get me wrong when I say this, but if you're building your brand around something maybe a little bit more elevated, maybe more luxury, make sure that what you're selecting, especially when it comes like colors of vessels, make sure you look and see how long they've been carrying that for. If they've only been carrying it for a season, it might be going out at the end of the season. We have found that to happen often. Colors of vessels are going to go away. So try to find the ones that are stuck around for a while and ask the supplier. Now, they're not going to tell you if they're going to plan on discontinuing it in a few months. You can't reach out to some of these bigger suppliers, especially. They're not going to tell you if they're going to discontinue it. They'll let you know when they discontinue it, But they're not going to tell you, oh, yeah, 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 you don't want to buy that from us today because like it's not selling well and it's going to go away. But if you create your entire line up and that vessel goes away, what are you going to do? Like, honestly, like when it comes to something that you can't necessarily replicate too easy, what are you going to do? When you have orders coming in, you sell out of something, you got to make more. People are buying more. You're taking off with your business, but now that vessel, you have to start over all over again. And it's not just a matter of swapping out vessels. You're also going to have to retest, right? If you have to go up or down a size, it doesn't hold as much volume. You're going to retest all your wicks. Same thing happens with designer waxes, as I call them. If you are starting your candle brand with a designer wax, as I call it, be cautious because we see this happen. It's happened a couple times this year in 2025, several times. There are oils that some of these suppliers that we love, I love, have discontinued their wax and they tried it. And, again, they want to give us stuff that's what's hot, what's fresh, what makes them look like they are the go-to supplier because they're coming out with the newest, latest thing, which is perfectly fine. There's no fault to that whatsoever, but it doesn't mean it's going to work. Some of those waxes are going to be a lot more expensive, and sometimes people just don't need that wax. There is a olive oil wax that was on the scene the last year and a half. That was fantastic, and it burnt really well. The pricing wasn't there for us to use it for our lineup of candles for our customers because of where we were going to have to put our prices of our candles. It was a great wax though, but not enough people were buying it, so it went away. What are you going to do if you're the one person that built your brand around that wax? It's going to be a problem. I would stick with your soy, your paraffins, and even your coconut soy. I would be confident nowadays building a brand around coconut soy because you're going to be able to find other options. If the supplier you're using ends up not continuing to carry it, if it goes away, you can find another supplier. Again, you're going to have to do the testing all over again. But you wouldn't have to change up like where if your brand is all coconut soy and that is your thing, you promote it, you explain to your customer why it's better. And that supplier doesn't have it anymore. You can find another one. So that messaging with your customer doesn't have to change because the messaging with your customer is one of the key factors of a brand being an actual brand. We go way into that inside of our branding workshop, inside of the inner circle. So that might be something if you're unsure about your branding for you to check out. But so that's what I'd be cautious of. Also, the other thing to be cautious of would be the oils. So I just mentioned at the top of this episode about the scents that we would sell if we were to start all over again, what we would start with. Now, this year, 2025, there are scents such as Santals, still some grapefruit. There's some scents that are out there that are really popular and that we're selling well in our shops and online, but they're going to go at some point. They're not going to be the hottest thing anymore. Grapefruit was really big for us last year. It's starting to go down like this year, where mango scent has been going up. And so our mango scented candle has been going up. So there's always going to be trend, right? What I'm getting at is I wouldn't base my initial collection when I'm starting a brand around something that might be a trend. Sure, you can be popular and hot right now, but as soon as Santal isn't popular anymore, right now every supplier is on that wagon. It's going to end up going down at some point. And if your brand is all built around just that, and then you can't get that oil anymore, that's gonna be a problem. Also, when it comes to like your fall and winter candles, our fall and winter candles, we've had the exact same 4 winter candles, 4 fall candles for the last 3 years. And to give you the honest reality of why they're the same is because that second year of our business, we were just about to open up our second storefront and we were just busy and didn't have the time. Didn't have the time to create an entire brand new collection, which means all brand new graphic designer labels all new custom blends that Chad had to come up with, then all the scent testing, and then all of the wick testing for a glass, a tin, the wax melt, and then the holiday times we'll have a larger vessel for those. It was just a lot of work. So year 2 of our business, we brought out the exact same ones. We brought out the fall ones, the winter ones. They did well. So this past year, we opened up our 3rd store. Let's focus on what is really important. And as long as these are still selling, it's important. So what I'm getting at by mentioning this is if you look at any of these seasonal oils that the suppliers come out with, 9 out of 10 of those oils are going to be gone as soon as the season is over, and they're not coming back next year. That's just a reality of seasonal scents because they know, the suppliers and manufacturers know that us as candle makers love scents. We love it. We spend so much time trying to find the best scents out there. And we want to have those to give to our customers, right? That's why they come out with a dozen. And so when we buy from like 6 or 7 different suppliers, and they all came out with between 8 and a dozen oils. Like Chad probably bought every single one of those, right? And you will put these into your line. You're going to put all the work into the labeling, all the work into the vessels, all the testing, and then next year they're not going to have that oil. That oil is going to go away, and then you got to start all over again because you're forced to, not because you just want to. So what I would recommend doing is basing those seasonal lines. If you're going to want to have them come back, base them around scents that you can build, that you can actually put the pieces together. So for our fall scents, just as an example, we have an orchard stroll candle, which is going to be that apple cinnamon, right? So again, we do all of our own blending. Anyone can do their own blending. Reach out if you have any questions. I certainly can help you with it. So we put the scents together. So we have an apple, we have a cinnamon. Apple and a cinnamon at the suppliers aren't going away. We have a pumpkin souffle, which has a little bit of cinnamon, it has some pumpkin, has a couple other things there, but all the ingredients of that candle are scents that are always going to be around, right? Our toasted vanilla, we've got a certain kind of nut that goes into that, and then a vanilla that we found that we really like. These are all just things that at any time of the year we can make that candle because the suppliers carry those scents year round. It's those unique, fancy ones that the suppliers come out with that it's what's hot for the season for them. And they're really focused more, those scents that come out are really focused on those people that aren't going to be blending things together, which is, again, totally fine if that's the direction you want to go with your business. If you're like, you know what, it's just easier to buy these 4 oils and let's just, think about it for this year, and next year we'll just worry about next year when that time comes. Again, totally fine. But we spend a lot of time with our graphic design for our labels. That costs us a lot of money. And then buying all those labels to get them professionally printed costs a lot of money. So we bring the stuff back, and then we can use any of the supplies that we may not have used the previous year. So just something to keep in mind there. Okay, so number 5, not all advice in candle groups are going to be good advice. So I'm in a lot of candle groups. You're probably in a lot of candle groups. I enjoy being in those. I enjoy helping out other makers, other people that are trying to turn this into a business, really. I love giving that support. But we're all going to come across some people that are going to either disagree with us for whatever reason in everything that we do, or people that they want to just give helping advice on every single post, and we can't all be experts at everything, right? So a lot of times we'll see people giving, let's say, how to sell candles online advice, but they don't actually have a website. They're not actually successful they're not actually doing it right now. I don't want to say successful or not because I don't know someone else's journey, but you want to be cautious on the advice that you're taking. Now, if you are asking a question of, hey, I just got this new Santal oil, what does it blend well with? Let the floodgates open, and that's totally fine. Get some inspiration because you're going to get a lot of responses to a question like that, and that is totally fine. you'll post about, hey, I'm starting with this vessel that is 3.5 inches across and I'm using CD wicks. What wicks should I start with? You're going to get some pretty good advice there, I would say. But as the advice starts to widen, you're going to start kind of getting lost and caught up in that. Also, people are a lot of times giving advice on what kind of business structure should you open up. Should it be an LLC, sole proprietor, things like that, talking about DBAs, S Corps, all of that. Like, that's the kind of advice that you don't want to take from someone in a Facebook group because everyone's situation is completely different. The way ours is, we started out as a single member LLC, which was just chat, and then we ended up putting myself on there. We changed over to a partnership, and then our accountant, our CPA, a year and a half ago, because of the staff and bringing people onto payroll, switched us over to an S corp. So that's the reason we've gone on a journey through a lot of those. So just asking and getting advice back on what you should set up without someone knowing your exact strategy and where you are. What do you plan on doing? How much sales are you planning on doing? A lot of those type of questions, you're just going to get a bunch of answers. So sometimes it's about the way we ask questions, but also we have followed all kinds of advice. And when we first started, that we shouldn't have. For instance, like when Soy wasn't giving us the hot throw that we wanted, and if you post that question, if you post how to get soy hot throw better, if you post that in an online group, you're gonna get crazy answers, from add in a scoop of coconut to triple wick it instead of single wicking it, to just up your oil. You're gonna get all kinds of stuff, right? And you're gonna feel lost. So I try to let people, either in our candle making course or in our inner circle or just in my own Facebook group and in our community, make sure that we ask follow-up questions to understand what the true question is and see if the person asking the question has more information they can give us. Just be cautious about going down. If it seems like the advice that you're getting is going to make things complicated, then seek different advice, because we're making candles here. This is not complicated. We teach in our candle making course, like, this is what you do. We're going to start with A to B. And when you get to B, if B isn't working the way it should, then it's either this or it's this. And so that is very, very easy to understand and follow. And then so whenever you get to the next roadblock, it's either this, this, or this. And this is how you test all of that out. So just be cautious of who you're getting advice from. We all like to click on people's profiles, see their candles, also see how long they've been doing this for. When someone's giving me advice in these groups, because again, I don't know everything. I'm asking questions as well. And someone gives me advice, I'm like, okay, I think I might be able to trust that person. I click on there, I'm like, oh, they've been in this group for 10 years. I look at their profile, they've been selling, they know what they're talking about. Always take advice from someone that is doing what you want to do. If I want to know how to do better at wholesaling, I need to follow people that are actually wholesaling today, not someone that's just giving advice or selling advice, that are actually doing it. There are other people in this space. I know I've referenced earlier that I have a wholesale course, but like, we're doing wholesale every single week. So I would think that I'm someone to at least get advice from, right? But there are people that are going to sell, products out there, such as how to, build a Shopify store. But if they haven't sold candles on there, they're not going to know the ins and outs of it. That's why actually building a Shopify website is one of the free workshops inside of our inner circle. So people come on board, because when it comes to, I'm getting way off topic here, but when it comes to building a website, your website, I understand you want to hire someone to do it, but then you're going to go spend $2,000, $2,500 to pay someone to build your website. Even if you find someone cheaper than that, find someone in $500. That seems like a great deal. Here's the problem. You're going to change your scents. You're going to change your vessels. You're going to change the way you're going to want your website layout to be at some point. And if you don't know how to do that, you got to pay someone else to do it and make those adjustments for you. Also, if they end up screwing something up on accident, or whenever that software, the Shopify gets an update, when your theme gets an update, you have to go and put some things back in there, like the pop-ups and things on your websites to collect emails. So you're going to have to keep paying someone over and over again. So even though some people don't like to learn the technology side, I get it. I would recommend learning it yourself. That's why we put together, it's like a 3-part workshop. Again, it's free for anyone in the inner circle. And I started from scratch and I just built another whole new candle business, connecting it to my website, going out and showing you where to trademark your stuff, all of that stuff. Because you want to know all of that stuff as you're going to open up a store. So just be cautious of who you're taking advice from. And also make sure that you don't let what I call them the minions, or I call them the piranhas. Those are those people that are hanging out in those social candle groups that are just always negative, right? They're always just negative, always talking down almost to other makers and how they're doing things, or critiquing. If I post a candle out here and say, hey, I'm super excited, I just created this. It is a santal and sandalwood blend together. I'm excited to start selling this. There's going to be that person that's going to be like, oh, well, did you test it? How many tests did you do? Like, I'm not asking about testing. I am just showing a creation that I am proud of. I wasn't asking for anyone's advice. I just wanted to share with the community because we're all here to help each other out, right? So that's something that never flies in our Facebook group. I think that people really enjoy that. We moderate it really tight. It's free. Come and join us. There's a link below here in the notes. Come join and hang out with us. It's a good group of people. And you're not going to get any of what I call the piranhas, those people that are just always miserable, right? We don't need miserable people in the communities that we're in. So we had to just get rid of those people that are like that. All right. So that is tips 1 through 5. Next week, I will be back with tips 6 through 10. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, there will be a additional part 2 video for you to watch that is going to have tips 6 through 10 plus a bonus for you. So please come back, check that out. If you have any tips for us, leave them in the comments below. I would love to start a discussion there. You can also come and join us inside of our Facebook group. It's completely free for anyone to join that. Come hang out where we're always sharing tips and tricks, not only on the candle making, but on making your business move forward. Thank you so much for listening to the Candle Business Pro podcast. If you found this episode helpful, we would love it if you'd leave us a rating and a review. It really helps us reach more makers like you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great day.